Okay.
I had a lot to do. Well, I don't know. I didn't.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's 5:30. I'm going to go through the presentation. Happy to answer questions as always. I'm going to move back and forth because I have to click the button too. So first of all, just to thank really everyone from the community to the school board to staff. We've had a lot of people reach out with ideas, thoughts, feedback. Really appreciate all that. I think it's made the process very collaborative. It's also enabled us to relook at things along the way. Really hope people see that the final plan that the board voted on was definitely different from the plan as it evolved over time. It's definitely reflective of feedback. I also want to make sure to mention that there are staff that obviously were impacted with reductions. That is it hurts a lot to lose people from the district. We have really good people here. Everybody we are losing they're good. They do a lot with our kids. It really does hurt to lose anybody and to lose any of them that we lost. It's very hurtful to the district, but it was part of the reduction plan as well. So some of why the plan occurred, why it matters. Obviously, we had to reduce by roughly 10%. It was roughly 3 million. We were able to do some things strategically to reduce during the year that made the total reduction we had to meet in the plan a little bit less than that. It enables us to keep academic programs, educational programs, make sure that we're operationally very sound, and then set us up for a long-term positive process financially. So not only did we balance the budget for this year and next year, the 26-27 year, but also the 27-28 year, the 28-29 year, and the 29-30 has a little bit of shortfall, but it's going to be able to be made up in these next few years. So something we talked about, making the reductions upfront enables for long-term reductions to keep compounding. That definitely was impactful through this plan that we have a very positive path. And also, I think it's important that we were able to make the reductions and not request additional funding from the community. Ultimately, we started with 2.75 million that we were able to reduce for the upcoming school year. Over the 3 years, it's roughly $9 million. We were able to correct all of the structural financial challenges. We had the issue of being over budgeted. And then, like I said, really make sure that we have a stable path moving forward. We're going to have to continue to look monthly at our finances, which the board is doing every month, but also internally as a district team to keep looking at that to see where can we keep making adjustments to keep creating a right-sized district. As I've talked about, our enrollment numbers have declined for many, many years. There is still a little decline I would project happening. So we have to look at the numbers every year. It's also something I mentioned, we have to look at our open enrollment numbers every year, be very careful of how many kids that are coming in. The pictures I have are really good, but I enlarged this, so I lost some of the pictures, but they're really good. Major areas we reduced, operational, that's part of the changing from 5 buildings to 3 buildings. That was a very strategic ability to reduce finances or reduce costs. Staffing adjustments, retirements, administrative restructuring. We did a lot actually with administrative of reducing, realigning, having administrators pick up additional work. Program contract review, and then, as I mentioned, the building consolidations. Staffing adjustments. So there was a good amount through retirements. There were targeted reductions that we made. Ultimately, 3 at the K-5 classroom area, 1 at the elementary special area, 1 at the high school level. We very strategically looked at those reductions to make sure we could do them and not create a overage of class size numbers beyond where we currently are, or eliminate opportunities educationally for kids. We're also going to realign some of the grant funding that we do use to better create stability in the general fund. And then also we really looked at focusing on protecting instruction across the district. So ultimately, we are going to close preschool admin building, close North Elementary, which means next year there will be 3 buildings, South, which will be group preschool to second grade, middle school 3 to 6, plus district administration, high school 7 to 12, plus district administration. We have teams working on all of the transitions right now, and then they're going to create sub teams with staff members within those grade areas to work on it. But right now, I have people ask, where are things going to be? I don't have all the answers. The teams are working on it. I can tell you that we've looked at this building, and there's going to be a use of district administration here. In all likelihood, we'll start having board meetings here, having board members at. We'll also have a meeting space that we'll be able to use. And there's a benefit in my perspective of having district administrators within buildings, because we can also help with the day-to-day work. So I think there's a really good positive there. And then it enables us to align enrollment with the facilities that we do have. And that's where we looked at, a question we got a lot was, do we have enough space in all the buildings? Yes, we looked very precisely at what the capacity numbers are for when the buildings were built to ensure that we have enough space for the number of kids and adults we're going to have in them. We definitely do. And that ultimately is going to reduce operational costs. Going from 5 buildings to 3 is really good. The other point I would really make is eliminating 2 of the 3 older buildings helps us to provide funding to the 1 remaining older building differently than we do right now. We have to stretch that money over 3 older buildings. We can focus on 1. And this middle school and south building, when they were built, there's a capital improvement fund for these buildings that we're able to use for these buildings. Now the capital improvement money we have for the district can all be focused on the high school, which is a really positive impact for that building, because we need to do improvements there too. Some of the one-time costs that we did put within the reduction plan is, everything on the reduction plan looks like minus, 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 and then there are a couple of pluses because we know there's costs for moving everything. We know there's costs for redoing things. We are looking very specifically to make that as minimal a cost as available so that there's more savings. But we also know there's some moving expenses are going to be more, like that expense over the summertime is going to be beyond whatever we normally have in the summer. So we had to account for that. But it's a temporary investment to create a long-term savings. Programs, I know something that we presented in early on in the plan was eliminating 7th and 9th grade teams. We're going to maintain those as long as there is participation level to have the team. So we had a lot of good conversations with people about the value and importance of those programs for kids. And I would tell you that that's very true. We know that extracurriculars are really important for kids. That was a hard area to look at reducing, but it was something we were significantly considering as we were able to evolve the plan. We were able to put them back in. Also, I think uniquely with athletics now is it's a 7 to 12 program. I think is going to create a different program over time. of how do we build that continuity from 7th to 12th grade, because they're all going to be in one building. So I think that to me is actually a really exciting thing of how this can look as we develop that too. So there's no reductions there, was my simple point. I tried to say a lot more than that. There will be select supplemental reductions as part of the plan, but very precise, very based on if we don't have enough participation, we warrant something. And then the other area, which might be on the, yeah, was busing. So busing, we initially had that we were going to reduce that to 2 miles. We're not reducing it to 2 miles. I think anyone that heard the board at the meeting prior to when the final plan was reduced, they were very strongly desiring that not to be in the plan. So we were able to look for other reductions, remove that from the plan, and we'll have cluster stops up to 1/4 mile radius. So I was telling some people today, if you, and I know this is hard in Madison because we're so spread out, and Madison is, the largest township in Ohio. But if you have, I think people are used to, we stop at every driveway and pick up kids. If kids live within 1/4 mile of each other, essentially we're going to have one stop, and all the kids will walk to that 1/4 mile area to get picked up there, which will, in a very small way, positively impact transportation costs, very small way. It also helps with transportation time. So, but we're not eliminating transportation as we've talked. Student fees didn't change from when we presented them. High school is still 325, middle school is 215. There will be a K-12 technology fee. The high school classes will have small increases. Those are roughly going to be around 5% increases. And then year over year, there will continue to be increases. We're going to look at the cost, the finances in general, and there will be, I've said 5% because I just want people to be aware that there will be increases. It will be no more than 5%. I imagine it'll probably get tied to inflation somehow, but that's a rough number. Andrea, by the way, liked this slide a lot because those are her kids in that picture. If anybody, sorry, I had to point that. Some decision points along the way, and I'm a big believer on when you have to make decisions, you have to have the why and the how you're going to do it. The why to me is the most critically important, especially with something like this. You have to have your decisions guided by something to make sure you're consistent. We guided them on protecting classroom instruction. I know I had a lot of questions about our class size is going to be 36 kids. No, class sizes are not going up in any dramatic way at all. We've run class size numbers for next year, and they are very, very identical to what they are this year. Our class sizes are large. I mean, they tend to be in the 26 range across the district when you average it out. That's what they are next year too. There's not some dramatic increase in class size. We wanted to support student opportunities, which it goes back to extracurriculars. It also goes to class options that kids are going to have. We didn't eliminate band in 6th grade. We didn't eliminate electives across the district at all. And at the secondary level, I think there's going to be an opportunity to have more electives, which is a good opportunity because it's something we've talked about needing the impact because we have a lot of high school kids that have a lot of study halls. We wanted to make sure the environments were safe, which we have kept that as well. And then obviously meet the final goal of ensure fiscal responsibility. The implementation phase is now going on currently. So we have 3 different main teams, the pre-K to 2 team, the 3 to 6 team is actually combined with the pre-K to 2, and then we have 7-12 team, and then we have a movie. So A lot of times people email me and I copy people as I respond to them because I want the teams to be aware of the thoughts that people are giving us too. And now those teams are going to develop sub teams. For example, the 7 to 12 group has, I believe, 5 different sub teams where they are getting teachers to volunteer to be part of it. And then they're going to start working on particulars like uh, curriculum and instruction. What will that look like at the 7 to 12 building? How can we do that in a very fluid and responsible way? So the sub-team part is really important because that, again, ensures collaboration. Uh, Bob, Nick, Teresa, Jack, who are kind of leads of these various teams, they could all tell you it's the continual thing that I, advance not a nice word of saying it. I require from them. That's not like that. But I require, expect collaboration. I want people to hear from people. I want people to get input. It's I believe in collaboration. I believe that you learn a lot from people, and it helps us make the best decision we can make. And they're doing a really good job on it. There are going to be decisions they're making that are really difficult, uh, that involve people, involve staff, and they're really hard. But they're looking through those in a very diligent, caring way. How do we provide the best we can for kids? And I really enjoy watching them work and helping them lead through that because they're making really good decisions. I believe that we have great people in this district and community that'll keep helping us as we do that. Some key immediate decisions that I know people are anticipating hearing about and excited to hear about is the calendar. Uh, we're going to send out a calendar form that we're going to ask for parent input to. We have the calendar. The board has got the calendar, I think, last month. But we want to hear from families. There's been a strong idea of changing the calendar. There are a lot of issues if we change the calendar into a more condensed version, which some people are asking for. And I think it's important, again, to hear from people and hear what their input is because I think it's going to be a split view on changing that calendar. So I think it's important to make sure we're hearing from vast amount of people who have kids in the district. So we're going to look into that. That'll actually be going out to parents by the end. And then building times, which I know is really important. What I would continue to say is right now, our building times are very similar to what they are right now. Right now, the youngest kids will start first, the next youngest start right after, the secondary will start after that. But we're continuing to look at it. One implication is always transportation. The other, a lot of people would talk about athletics, which I totally get. Can't let that drive the decision of what that is. The thing I would tell you is, what does the research say? What is best? And secondary kids, research says they should start latest because they really should be sleeping longer and not starting earliest. But is that the best decision for everyone? No, it'd be great. I think if we could have everybody start at 8 o'clock and everybody end at 3, that'd be great. There's no way to do that with transportation. So it's got to be staggered in some way. But there are implications with any decision along. But that'll be coming pretty soon, which also ties into academic times. And then staff assignments. The staff really obviously want to know where they're going to be next year. I know I've said to staff, I've said it publicly. I think right now we're at 93% of the staff are following their current assignment to whichever building that it goes to. 7% are shifting. That's right. That's where we are as of a couple of days ago. And I don't see that changing. The vast majority of staff, if you taught second grade, you were an aide in second grade, you're going to go with second grade. So you might have been at North or South. Next year, you'd be at South. Same thing with seventh grade. There are people, though, that taught seventh and eighth grade, which obviously in all likelihood, they're going to teach one or the other. They're not, we're trying to not split people as much as possible too, because moving people from building to building, if it was 6 and 7, ironic, by the way, that I just said that. If it was 6 and 7, then traveling from building to building is complicated. So we want to try to limit that as much as possible. But those decisions are going to come pretty soon. Calendar, we want to get parent feedback, which that then implicates building times, which implicates academic times. Staffing assignment, I've told staff, I believe I told them early on that it was going to be middle end of this month. Now I've told people that it's going to be the end of this month in March. Staff, I'm going to probably email next month and tell you the process so you're understanding. But again, the vast majority are going to be in the same assignment, just following the grade level to which building. We're going to continue to have our meetings monthly as we go through the process. Again, I think it's important for people to hear about it. Every month we'll have a meeting, update people on where we are, sticking to our timeline of the now transition process. And then continuous financial monitoring. So that'll be something that we'll keep talking about finances as well as we go along too. And Andrea will share dates a couple months in advance of each of the meetings. But every month through August, we have one meeting. I think in August, we have 2 meetings because we're going to start school pretty quick. What I would say again is I'm really proud of the people that have worked through this. I'm really proud of the board because it was really hard for people to work through this. It's really hard to imagine cutting 10% of your budget. I think the board, and obviously we had some transition on the board. I think they've done a great job of coming together, building a team, identifying what things they were willing to support, what things they weren't, pushing to make sure that that was realized in the plan. Proud of the staff that have worked through it. I'm proud of the collaboration they've done. Really impressed by community and families that have provided support and feedback. We get a lot of emails each day from staff, families, kids. We've had kids write essays about this and provide it to us, which I think is great. I had kids stop me in the hall and talk about it. So I think it's really good that people are involved and they're providing feedback so we can reflect on it, really consider the decisions we're making. And through the community meetings, through the collaboration, through sharing information, we want to continue to really serve the community and ensure that we are positive financially. That's all I have. Is there anything I can answer or you would like me to answer, talk about, address? Anything you don't like, you want to tell me? Happy to hear anything. Tried to cover everything. I don't think I missed anything. Andrea, anything I missed that you can think of? Thanks. Thank you. I will continually tell you that Madison is a really good place. It's something I've said. I think Bob and I have this unique part of we weren't here, so we didn't know it. So you see it freshly through different eyes, and really good place. We were just talking about that today about the kids. There are really good kids in this district. I was at the high school yesterday and multiple kids came up and said hi to me, which that is abnormal. Like for kids to say hi to a grown adult, like that's just unusual. So I appreciate you saying that. I would just say that it's a really good place. There are really good people here. It makes me, while the change is really hard, the transition is really hard, and I regret the anxiety I cause people, I feel very confident in the people that are doing the work. And I think that they'll do a really good job. So I do appreciate you saying that. as well. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is decisions are made by those who show up. And I've always loved that quote. And, I get people have a lot of things and I totally understand it. People are busy. It's part of why we started videotaping these and sharing them. We tried to put a lot on Facebook. We tried to put a lot on the website. And even as people respond, I really do try to respond to people too, because I get like people do things, they do it differently now, um, which I totally respect that. And I get everybody's busy. Um, so we're trying to hit a lot of different ways of connecting to people. But I also appreciate there's a lot of you that show up each time. And I think I appreciate that you coming back because I also would understand if you're like, hey, I'm not going to see Rambler this time. I would understand that, um, but I appreciate you guys showing up and knowing that we just have to keep trying to reach out to people. And there's going to be negative. I totally get it. I keep saying that I feel like we're really listening to people, and I also know we can't do everything everyone wants, and it's just not possible. But I also think we are definitely hearing people and considering things and looking through them. So I'm really proud of the team for doing that, the board doing that. They've been very diligent in considering different options. So thank you. Anything else? Answers, thoughts? It's a good basketball game here coming up at 7 o'clock. It's a little over an hour away over at the high school. Girls are going to do really well. Beat the heck out of the Talmadge Blue Devils. I believe that's who they're playing. Okay, that's all I have then. Have a good rest of your night. Thank you all for coming.